Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Voice Cast after quite a long delay. We're looking at your favorite animated character to find out who's the best, who's the worst, who's the weirdest. I'm your host, Justin, and with me always is Will.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Today we'll be covering, four characters, surprisingly. This is our first ever special. For the entire month of April, we are going to be talking about four of the most significant anthropomorphic animals that we have in our cartoon history. We will be covering the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. First up, we're going Leonardo, because he leads.
Well, who is Leonardo?
Leonardo, the oldest brother of the four turtles, and the most prolific, whatever that word is, the best student from Master Splinter, always obeys everything to the T, but is also hesitant. Unlike his brothers, he's normally more mellow-minded and rational about things, to a fault, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say to a fault.
Also to an air of egoism around his very position. He's the turtle who uses two katanas. I'm not really sure what the specific kind. I'm gonna just call them katanas because they're Japanese swords. But he also wears a blue mask and, in one rendition, a cute little L initial on his belt buckle. Turtles and belt buckles are just really cute.
Yeah, I can agree to that. Man, that was a lot of detail. It's like, I don't think anyone's gonna come into this and be like, oh, Leonardo, oh, he wears blue? I had no idea. Thank you, Will. But in all seriousness, that was a lot of great information. I'm glad that we're doing this first, because I'm sorry to offend anyone, but me and Will both kind of came to an agreement that also the worst turtle, just not as interesting as the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, there are renditions where he's done right, but for the most part, he has the same static attitude. I'm the leader, you all have to listen to me, I have to listen to what my master says.
Nag.
Don't do everything by the book, don't improvise anything, calm your heads. I'm better than you. Well, that was only for that one movie, which was so boring.
We'll get to that. But first, we have to start. Welcome to the 80s, where any figure that you can possibly imagine, any toy, has a quality TV show to it. Starting out with the 1987 version Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Clarke led the Heroes in a Half Shell.
Come on, Turtles! The fate of the world depends on us!
One of the most prolific voices in video games and cartoons. A real dominant force in the media.
I haven't really looked into it too much, but if there's one thing that I know that I love Clarke for, besides being the dead ringer as Simba whenever Matthew Broderick's not available, he was my favorite part of Assassin's Creed 2. Which, Will, I'm going to assume you played the game. Did you go for those collectibles where you have to use your eagle eye to, go into those symbols to do those kind of, puzzles?
Yes.
I kept playing those, not for the lore, but for hearing him be Subject 16, and he just fucking nails that just, desperation about just, I can't take it anymore, I don't understand what's going on. I've seen him do some great shit like that, but here, it's fine.
Now, I personally love him as Corrin from Smash Bros. And Fire Emblem Warriors, and he had a lot to do with the Metal Gear Solid series, which is his amazing performance as Liquid Snake and Master Miller. Also, Kratos Arin from Tales of Symphonia, a beloved game of mine, and I'm sure plenty of people who owned GameCubes. Yes, the GameCube version. The better version.
And we're just firing off all cylinders today, aren't we?
Oh yeah. Overall, I like Leo's voice. Clarke's voice is just overall amazing to listen to, and his rendition of Leo, kind of I know what I'm doing. Kind of that. Well, then again, that's all the tones of the TMNT 1987. They all kind of had a same nasally cartoony tone, which really fits, in my opinion.
Yeah, in the beginning of the show, I couldn't help but notice that it's kind of hard to differentiate him from Donatello, but we'll definitely...
Who was voiced by Rob Paulson.
No, Raphael. He's voiced...
that's Barry Gordon.
Yeah, he's voiced by... he's voiced by Rob Paulson in...
Raphael was Rob Paulson.
Yes, in the 87 version.
Which kind of makes sense in the 87 version. Though, point of contention, actually, in the 2003 series, later down the line, and in the ending of the series, they did a crossover movie called Turtles Forever. In the Leonardo 1987 would not be talked by Cam Clarke, but instead by 4Kids' own Dan Green.
They're right. This is serious. I say we head to our lair, pick up our anti-technodrome gear, and go put it to good use. But first, we've got to save April!
This is such a strange part, because, like, I just learned recently that if you want to dub anime, like, it's not a part of the union, which is why many voice actors don't do dubs of anime. But it's so strange because, like, the Ninja Turtles series, which is astounding, does not... It's American made. I mean, American produced and all that. I'm going to presume it's made by Koreans, where other people end up being green in the face from overwork.
Yeah. Green in the face.
Yeah, thank you.
They had a shell of a bad time working in them sweatshops.
Yeah.
His joke. Please. Brand me.
Give us money.
But yeah, which the thing is, Hollywood, normally cartoons are handled by California and Canada, while most anime dubs are American made, so they're two different, it's essentially two different mafias from two different towns, so to say.
Yeah, you mean made in New York, because this series was voiced in New York.
It was voiced in New York, and 4Kids is for the most part a very East Coast company.
Absolutely.
Then again, you also have things like Media Blasters, ADV Media, and Central Park Media, which are East Coast, mostly.
Yep. Also known for doing a lot of porn.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine just, like, walking into work and you're just like, I wonder what kind of rape scene I'm gonna record today?
No, it's more of, oh great, the voice of Knuckles is seducing is the principal of a school and he's seducing the students. Gee. And I gotta do payroll today.
Bark like a chicken. Bark like a chicken, I tell you.
Oh god. We love you, Dan Green.
But you're not great in this.
Actually, I kinda like him.
I think he sticks out like a sore thumb too much. And that's saying something for a turtle.
I think that's kind of the point of the 1980s cartoon. Because the 1980s cartoon, Little History, is actually based off the Archie Comics rendition, which aren't the first ever rendition. The first ever rendition are done by Eastman and Laird for Mirage Comics. But after its popularity scale, it got an adaptation into the Archie Comics, which the 1987 cartoon was based off of.
Yeah, and then they had to, like, make it, like, really kiddie. They differentiated each of the turtles with, like, their own unique personalities and all that. Blah, blah, blah. And it became a cultural smash hit phenomenon.
And the turtles with sauerkraut, sour cream, and jelly bean pizza. We're not kidding.
I'm getting hungry.
I'm not. That sounds horrible.
Yeah, and that led for a long time, once again led by Cam Clarke, for a good 10 seasons. And
yeah, this was done by Deke, mind you. And Deke has a tendency of shitting the bed mid-season, which you can actually notice because there's a severe quality drop around the 4th or 5th season.
I mean, there's a lot of, like, strange, like, nitpicky flubs that you can have, like some color mistakes, some turtles being voiced by the wrong voice actors and all that. But overall, I watched it. Like, this is the first time I, like, actually, like, sat down and I watched some of it, and I lasted for, like, an episode and a half. And it's fine, you know.
I did my 3-episode research, but I'm definitely going to go back and watch all 10 seasons. in incremental time, of course. But I'm definitely gonna watch them all.
Well, there are a lot different Ninja Turtles renditions that I'd rather go back to, such as my personal favorite from my childhood.
Before we do that, we can do this chronologically to the 1990s movie, which is actually the first appearance in the media of the original Mirage comics. The darker scenario, and the overall meeting of everyone, minus a few personality changes for Casey Jones, Raphael, and Donatello, because in the original comics, Donnie wasn't much. In the Mirage version, Donnie wasn't, he was very to himself. Raph barely spoke and mostly just grunted at things and beat the crap out of everything. And Casey was a psychopathic nutcase who would just yell "Goongala, Goongala" and bash people's heads in.
Is that actually what the text said?
Yeah, his catchphrase was "Goongala, Goongala!"
Dear God.
Like, remember from the movie when the Foot Clan... When the Foot Clan are attacking April's 11th and Bleecker apartment, and Casey breaks in with the breaks into the antique shop during the foot raid. In the comics, he yells out "Goongala, Goongala," which they also do in the 2003 cartoon.
So stupid.
But looking back to the movie, this was the 80s. Everyone needed a catchphrase. Plus the Turtles comics is supposed to be a parody on the dark, gritty comics that were popular in the 80s. Its whole thing was parody until it hit off the ground. It's like, well, wow. Yeah. In the 1990s movie, I think Brian Tochi, who really didn't do things of note that in the forms of voice acting, he was,
from what I can tell, until this movie, just playing Asian stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
And not
Asian
many
characters, like Alan Chan from the Amazing Chan and the Chan Clan.
Like, it says a lot just seeing these names, like Alan Chang, Sushi Master, Japanese Boys number 1 and 2.
We have had our first battle, Master Splinter. They were many, but we kicked. We fought well.
Mm-hmm. Overall, the Leonardo voice in the 1990s movie was a good combination of the seriousness from the original comics and the silliness of the 1987 comic, which overall went for a pretty good performance for all three of his movies.
Yeah, and you know what? Kudos to this guy being able to do all the Ninja Turtles movies. Like, sure, they deteriorate in quality as far as I know, but a lot of the other Turtles didn't come back to reprise their roles, which kind of sucks because that means I'm gonna have to watch Ninja Turtles 2 and 3 to keep up the performances of all these guys.
You make it sound like a bad thing.
Well, yeah, because I watched this for the first time. You're more of a Ninja Turtles guy than I am, and I finally got a chance to experience this. I saw 3 a couple of years ago first. Just because, a friend was just like, hey, let's watch this. It'll be funny. Here, I'm just not I'm impressed in the way of just,
what they've done.
Yeah. They move better than I was expecting it, but it's just...
And the effects were pretty good for 1993.
Yeah, but this is going to sound strange, but I can't take live-action Turtles seriously.
I can take the first one seriously. The first one was dynamite, and the second one was not too bad itself.
No, I just, see, these prosthetics, I'm just like, oh, fucking A,
Then again, it's all about, when it comes to live-action Turtles, it's really all about the set pieces. Because in the later, the further down the movie, live-action movies you go, the more they look much different than their set pieces. Like the 1990s one, the Turtles fit right in with the way that their costumes are designed and shaded and all that.
We wouldn't have a live-action, an animated Turtle series. No, we wouldn't have a Turtle series that mattered for a long time. It would have taken after the turn of the millennia. There was a very minor live-action Ninja Turtle series that I don't give a single shit about. And for Ninja Turtle: The Next Mutation, which, for some fucking reason, is the only Ninja Turtles thing on Netflix.
It's because it didn't get a lot of traction. It didn't get a lot of traction in its initial run, and that's mainly because the Turtles kind of petered out over the years. They petered out over the years because Turtle Mania went from like the 1980s to like the mid 90s, and then things started to slow down because comics themselves were taking a whole different direction, as were cartoons. The age of Deke was over, and was the rise of the Hanna-Barbera Cartoon Network channel. Nickelodeon also started producing more stuff in the 90s, and it overall just got more saturated with cartoons geared especially towards young kids. Because while the 1987 cartoon was very geared toward kids, the comics were not. Even the Archie comics dealt with some pretty harsh subjects. Then again, Archie comics were never kid-friendly anyways. They were mostly for adults.
So, Ninja Turtles need to do something completely different, which I think the 2003 version did tremendously well. Okay, here's what I hate. I hate when, like, the people in their, like, 30s and above are like, oh, the 1987 version's perfect. There's no version that's afterwards. Because it's like, okay, I'm going to be biased about the 2003 one. That's fantastic.
Flat out.
But only because... Yeah, exactly. But only because you motherfuckers are biased about the 87 version and pretend it doesn't exist at all. And that all comes down to that...
For the 4Kids brand.
That, like,
honestly, it's the 4Kids brand that makes people hate the 2003 rendition. It's honestly one of the best interpretations of the Turtles. Especially with its fresh cast.
And it's animated incredibly well. There was a Facebook post that you made recently that was like, 4Kids has good dubs. And what was so funny about that is that for a little bit, there were people who were like, ha, funny joke. But then after a while, they were like, wait, you're fucking serious, dude?
And then one person's like, some, not all. Props to you for him for saying that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But yeah, it's because people in our generation, I wouldn't say our generation, that's fucking stupid. People that are in our decade, we grew up with 4Kids because it was honestly, it was our first touches to Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon. But then once Namco Bandai started their own television service and Toonami came aboard, everyone grew up out of their, I don't listen to titties, I don't watch cartoons anymore, those are for babies, I watch anime. I'm like, they didn't realize they treat cartoons and anime the same in Japan, right? It's just a form of media involving pen, paper, ink, and sometimes computers.
Yeah, I mean, like...
Mind you, these are also the same people that'll praise Totally Spies, that'll praise Totally Spies, Martin Mystery, and other French Canadian made cartoons.
Yeah, because Clover was their sexual awakening, of course.
No, I think it was Alex.
Really? No, I think it was Martin. I think Martin was a lot of autistic guys' sexual awakenings.
Yeah, I'd say so. The man really knew how to play a slim, tan Guy Fieri. Like, if Guy Fieri had, like, an anime rendition that wasn't fat, like Takeda Shingen fat.
Dude, one time I was working for, I got a job as a waiter at a restaurant, and, like, one of the things that they had us do was show the diners, whatevers, and dives, Guy Fieri show about, like, local fast food stuff.
Diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Thank you. And so, like, we had to watch this show about just, like, these guys being like, Guy Fieri likes our shit. Oh, spoiler alert, the place where I worked, like, closed down after, like, a few months, so it's like, I don't know. But anyway, like, they had a meatloaf, right? Like, they had, like, a specialty meatloaf, and Guy Fieri described it as, it's like a speed bump into Flavor Town.
A speed bump?
It's so lame.
The thing is, everyone's like, I bet they were like, wow, he compared it to a speed bump to Flavor Town. Meanwhile, he compared it to a speed bump.
Yeah, like the thing that
bumps.
cars run over and no one likes because it causes their stomachs to turn.
Or, causes people to goddamn crash.
Yeah. But you know what doesn't cause people's stomach to turn? Michael whatever the fuck as...
Michelangelo. Michael Sinterniklaas.
We haven't had popcorn in about 100 years. Sounds pretty good, stale or otherwise.
Thank you. I'll let you say that one. I'm going to cut out my embarrassing thing.
Michael Sinterniklaas, who also voiced Kappa Mikey from Kappa Mikey, which is ironic because he plays Mikey.
Or more well-known Dean Venture from the Venture Brothers.
And Ikaku Madarame from Bleach, Captain Baldy himself. Also on the failed show Robotomy, he played a character named Weenus. His name was Weenus.
Ha ha ha.
Just stupid name.
This is the first time that, like, I feel like Leonardo, first of all,
got a proper fleshing out.
Yeah, like, you can watch the 87 version and, like, I'm sure not all the episodes are like this. Like, I watched an episode that focused on Leonardo and, like, but, like, I noticed in, like, the first episode, they had literally nothing for Leonardo to do, so he just kind of, like, popped out every now and again to sound, just to be like, hey, I'm included in this, I'm being useful to the conversation.
But he did have his moments of actually being a good leader, and he did have his defining moments of his ego getting to him and his flaws, especially everything involving Karai.
Yeah. But I think more importantly than anything, he said right at the beginning of the 2003 version, they established that Leonardo is better than all the other turtles. So he has a lot of potential to go towards, but because he is still a teenager and, like, has to deal with...
He gives into emotions, and he gives into... He's that teenager that's trying too hard to be an adult when he still has to live out his adolescence and teenagedom.
Yeah, we agreed to this, but, like, Leonardo is less of a leader and more of a tryhard.
He's more... Well, two different kinds of leaders, tactician and strategist. He's more of the strategist, doing everything from the back and the sidelines before executing a plan. His counter being Raphael, who is the tactician and does everything in the heat of the moment, which can ebb and flow the tide of battle in their favor or out of their favor, compromising them. Which they cover that subject up in the 2007 movie, which did a strangely dark return to form on the series.
Not my favorite thing I've ever seen, Turtles related, but you know what? I'll give it a pass. Like, I'm surprised. First of all, for 2007, for not being Pixar, this looks pretty... I mean, the Turtles look great. All the other characters are kind of dated.
Yeah, they had this weird cell shading thing that looks like it was made by, like, the same people who did Food Fight with the way that they did the faces. And
it's not nearly that bad.
The humans didn't look good. Except for Karai. But then again, Karai had really stupid-looking hair.
And her voice is awful. Like, okay, this was very strange to me, but it's like, this was a rare exception for voice acting where the main turtles are all voiced by people who are more so voice actors, and all the others down below, the supporting characters, are all celebrities. You got Chris Evans before Avengers, you got Patrick Stewart, you got Sarah Michelle Gellar, who was Daphne in the live-action Scooby-Doo movies, and they're all awful. I hate all the voice acting here, and I might get some shit for this, but I thought Mako as Splinter was also pretty shitty.
Yeah, it just made Splinter sound even more just bland and bleh.
Not bland. The problem is that, like, he did die from, like, smoking habits. And, like, this movie came out after he died, so I presume this was just, like, on his last breath, you know? No pun intended.
Oh, that's kind of depressing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Leonardo for this was James Arnold Taylor.
You aren't ready. You're impatient and hot-tempered, and more importantly, I'm better than you.
a great voice actor, first of all.
Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Genndy Tartakovsky Star Wars. Walker from Danny Phantom. Wildor Jebediah Sockbat from Drawn Together, and his most notorious role, Johnny Test from Johnny Test.
Well, I know James Arnold Taylor most from the Ratchet and Clank series, which he actually took over the role from Mikey Kelly in Going Commando, who voices Michelangelo in this movie.
Lot of intertwining that we have here.
Oh yeah, James Arnold Taylor is fine. Like I like Michael Sinterklaas because like there's Sinterklaas. Thank you. I like Michael Sinterklaas because there is a good balance of like a voice that is very defining. It's not bland. It's not baseline, but it's still like a well-pronounced voice, and it's just like nothing else you can do. James Arnold Taylor is like that too, but I think he goes. It's not quite right to me, you know. It's a little bit too goofy for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What'd you think of the movie, though?
Overall, the movie felt very... It didn't feel like a Turtles movie. It felt very to its own, had its own lore. Didn't really intertwine much with the Turtles. Honestly, it just felt like a Turtles guest movie where the Turtles were the guests, but also, like, the main actors. And overall, it was just very dull and boring to me in execution, despite how pretty the backdrops look and the way the Turtles were designed.
Yeah.
And the great voice acting of the Turtles specifically. I did not like... It just didn't seem like a Turtles art to me. I mean, when it comes to Turtles, when it comes to dealing with extra-dimensional, I immediately go to Dimension X, which is explained a lot in the 1980s cartoon. Dimension X being where the Utrons are located, which are also covered in the 2003.
There was something about this that, like, there was a lot of problems. Like, there was too much plot, like, too many things.
And too many things that were not related to the Turtles. Like, the main antagonistic force are a bunch of extra-dimensional teleporters from an Aztec-inspired world. It's like Aztec, Shinobi, New York, street gang hockey?
And I just didn't understand their motivation. Like, I understand that it's like the main dude is immortal, but he doesn't want to because, like all immortals in animated shows, like, he wants to die, you know? Like, but, like, the other guys were turned to stone, which I thought, like, okay, so, like...
Which does not sound very Turtles.
Yeah, I feel like the Turtles has, like, a baseline for being weird, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Everything up from that is that, like, you can go as strange as you want, but I just don't understand the motivation where it's like, this dude's comrades were turned to stone, and I'm like, okay, but they can still talk, they can still walk around, they can still fall from a decent height without like breaking or anything. I presume that they don't need food, so really when it comes down to it, why wouldn't they, you know? Why would they want to turn back, you know?
Well, that's the thing. The main guy, the main villain, who wants to return because he wants to pass on because he's lived for far too long. He's seen probably the stereotypical, I've seen all the people I care about die, but he's every great general in history, because they all have the same gosh dang face. And he was the Pharaohs, he was Alexander the Great, he was Napoleon, he was this, he was that. He experienced way too much and just wants to go to sleep and retire. But the Stone Guardians, like, sure, he's been looking for centuries trying to find them, but where were the monsters because the big thing is, oh, I need to find these 13 monsters from my dimension and sacrifice them to this alignment of stars in a faraway galaxy as a means to break my curse.
It's way like, too much. Way too much.
Okay, you mentioned these monsters. Where the hell were they? Like, because this is like after the 2000. Like, this is like, this is clearly a Turtles where there was history, and then they broke off for some, and then Leonardo goes to South America because Splinter sends him on a mission to become a better leader by going off on his own and honing his skills, which that doesn't make sense. But weird Aztec stone people from a different dimension, galaxy, whatever. Like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has three established villains. The Purple Dragons and other street thugs. The aliens, like the Utroms, and other invading forces like the Triceratons. Or other mutants. Other mutants created by the same ooze, who normally try to enact revenge. Well, they're trying to enact revenge based on the I'm a monster now, and now I'm a monster to the world, but I'm going to make humanity see that they're the monsters, or the hey, I have cool powers now, time to go take initiative.
Oh god. Again, not the worst thing I've seen, but just a lot of clusterpunk, you know?
Yeah. Going back to what we were talking about earlier with the crossover between the 1980s and the 2003, next up on our cinematic adventure would be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Turtles Forever.
I love that terminology. Cinematic adventure.
I mean, it basically was.
Yeah, it was. I love this crossover. I've seen it like 3 times.
I honestly, I love watching, especially the latter, because this special does something special. See, the original Mirage comics never ever had a cartoon or a movie based on them. So, they didn't really have they didn't have a guideline as to who to pick. And for the 2003 we have Michael Sinterniklaas, Dan Green, like I mentioned earlier, and Jason Griffith.
Leonardo, seriously, for your own good, you bros should lay off the dimension hopping business. It's dangerous.
Atticus Rhodes from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, the voice for Usopp from One Piece, Sonic and Shadow from Sonic X.
Is it worth bringing this up? Like, I presume that, like, all of the Mirage Comics Turtles are essentially the same.
Well, no. Donnie had a really nice... I don't think so. Like when he's like, "You're us from another dimension?" I don't see it.
That's nice. It doesn't sound nice.
I don't see it.
Oh my god.
I love it.
You sound like a drunk cowboy.
No. More like,
how are you?
More like that cynical Jewish uncle.
Oh, God.
I don't see it.
Here we are.
It's very classic New York sounding, which, surprisingly, the only turtle that gets proper New York soundiness to him is Raphael. But we'll cover him next week.
Oh, yeah.
Overall, great movie, great casting. I personally love it.
Absolutely. Moving on, we jump from 4Kids owning the rights to Nickelodeon owning the rights to the Ninja Turtles. And this is one of those examples of, like, it's new, so let's hate it. Which, like, I heard some of that before from my friends, but I've watched some of it. It's not bad. It's a good series.
It's not bad. Really not bad.
Like, I would say the first time using CGI for the Turtles, it's actually worked incredibly well. And they really use that comic book aesthetic to the best of its abilities. Like, sure, they have some of that anime stuff where it's just like the eyes getting all just like whirlwind looking when they get knocked out, or just like fire on their heads when they get enraged, but
basic anime trope mode.
Yeah, exactly. But overall, it looks good and it moves really well, and it's written pretty well too. It's essentially like this was for a lot of kids what 2003 was for us. A new Ninja Turtles with an ongoing narrative that looks great.
And with 3 different voice actors.
Oh boy, what a rabbit hole. But first, we have to start with kind of a black horse in this one.
Jason Biggs. Also known as... yeah, the main character of the first American Pie.
Guys,
When ninjas are on surveillance, they are supposed to be silent. Guys, he got us on video. Let's move. And you're always whining. Poor me. Nobody understands me.
And then a couple more after that, but... Did you like this one too? I like this voice.
I liked his rendition of it. I honestly did.
I'm surprised.
For someone who's not known for his voice acting, he did really good.
I get the feeling that a lot of people are like, man, I get to voice a turtle. Fuck yes, you know? So like, let's give it my all.
I mean, he sounds like a more kiddied version of the Michael Sinterniklaas version, but it fits just right.
Oh,
just
absolutely.
Just like the second one, Dominic Catrambone.
Quiet down, ninjas. I've got a weird feeling something's gonna happen. Keep on your toes. It's the Foot Clan! Turtles, attack! It's Fishface! Looks like we got another Foot Krang team-up.
I don't like this one.
He sounds very samey to Jason Biggs, but
no, he doesn't.
Underperforms.
Okay, do you know what happened to cause voice actor changes?
Contract ending?
No. Because this is modern day where comedians can't post anything funny on Twitter without getting shit canned on it. Jason Biggs wrote something for some kind of ceremony, I don't remember, and then Nickelodeon got embarrassed, decided to kick him off, and for only 7 episodes, like this was like right before the end of season 2, where it's like there were 7 episodes, Jason Biggs did his thing, and then there were only 7 episodes left of season 2. So in between, so during those 7 episodes, before they got Seth Green to go for season 3 and onwards, they hired this guy. And I presume it was like, well, this guy's kind of... I saw an article that kind of implies...
No.
Yes.
I mean, the biggest thing he did was voice Jackson Stewart from the Hannah Montana games.
That's the most of the experience that he has. But, like, I saw an article implying that, like, they already planned Seth Green to voice Leonardo after they cut out Jason Biggs. But
probably Seth Green was busy during the time, because he often is very booked.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, so they just had this whatever amateur as just, like, a 11th hour decision, and as you can expect from it, he's not very good. I think his voice is too deep. His delivery is completely off. Often just bad.
I don't think he's the worst, but I think he's a nice attempt.
I would say he's the worst.
But he did better. He could have done better.
I mean, I have to admit, he was not in the best spot for this. Like, he had to watch he had to be the voice of a character who had no experience with whatsoever for the finale of a season where the Turtles have to run away from New York to a country home. This was a time where he had to really, like, show what he's got, and he just couldn't do it.
And now, speaking of Seth Green from earlier, we'll cover his, and I think the crowning jewel of this rendition.
Mikey, Raph is gonna be super ticked if we watch the Krognard finale without him. Be cool. Hey man, what's going down? You can destroy us, Mozart, that's okay. It is? But I'm asking you one last time before I take this whole ship down. Let the Earth survive, or be destroyed.
Seth Green is, as much as people tend to show annoyance towards him, he's a great voice actor, and he pulled an amazing Leonardo.
Like, I don't like Robot Chicken, but just what he can do.
Chris from Family Guy. Yeah.
Oh, that too. But it's like, his range is phenomenal.
He was amazing in this.
Yeah. I mean, this Leonardo is just a couple of decibels, like, past what he does. Just what his voice is. But, you know?
Now, see, Seth Green would know because Seth Green is a big Turtles fan. The man's a giant man baby of nerd status.
Don't say man baby.
No. If it is a nerd medium, he's probably all over it.
Oh no, I agree, but it's just the terminology is so
he's
lame.
He's man baby levels. He himself is not a man baby. He himself is just a really nice guy.
Oh yeah, like I remember seeing he fucking brought Googly Eyes to interview with Conan O'Brien, and it's just like, this dude's a kid at heart, you know?
Yeah, and it's that quality that makes him a really good celebrity.
Yeah, so he does definitely bring a lot of fun and like a good passion and personality to the character.
Also not straying far from his actual voice, allowing him to fluctuate emotions better because he's not putting on impersonation.
Oh yeah. Do you know their excuse for the voice actor change between at least Jason Biggs and Seth Green?
Something ceremony something.
No. Leonardo gets knocked out in season 2. They go to the country. Leonardo wakes up again. His voice is different, and Donatello's like, oh, his voice box got damaged in the fight with Shredder. That's it. That's all that you need to change a voice actor. It's so lame.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
Yeah, this is the best way. Good on you, Nickelodeon Ninja Turtles.
Speaking of Nickelodeon, I want to bring up a short as a kind of a wild entry into this review.
Okay.
Throwing you for a loop here.
I know exactly what you're on about. Like you might have thrown me for a loop, but I'm still on track.
Okay, so for the next rendition of the Turtles, there was a competition had for animators. Different animators would try to do the Turtles and see who gets a show. One of these particular participants was Invader Zim's own Yonan Vasquez.
He didn't voice him, he animated it.
Well, it was his production. But the most out of nowhere pick for Leonardo, Anders Holm.
Why are Raph and Donnie engaged in mortal combat? Why are they fighting? Are they dead? Is this a contest to see who could be the most dead?
Which most people would know him from Workaholics. A really obscure, but really funny, in my opinion, Comedy Central. And the best part is...
Is it obscure? I hear a lot of people raving about that show.
Well, it during its time, it was pretty obscure. But the best part was 3 out of the 4 Turtles, the 3 main characters of Workaholics: Adam Devine, Blake Anderson, Anders Holm, which is really, really funny.
We praised this short when it first came out. There is so much good about it. It's so funny.
Yonan knows what the hell he is doing.
He really knows how to do like that over-the-top comedy that you can only do in animation, with also massive shout out to the cutest April O'Neil ever.
To date, absolutely. It's the perfect mix. It's the perfect mix of the 1980s, the 2003, and the 2012. Its age, the age not being too old, or depicted as a lot older, like in the 2003 and 1980s, but not too kiddishly young, like in the 2012. Definitely in those mid to late teenage years.
Oh god, the character design is so good.
Even the Turtles look good. Even the Turtles look really good.
I think they look hilarious, honestly.
That's the best part.
Oh god, but April O'Neil specifically is ranks parallel to Shantae for me, from the video games, and where it is the perfect balance of hot and cute.
April will always have a place in my heart.
Yeah.
Mainly because I was born in the month of her name. Which, if you guys didn't catch on, I chose April to be our Turtles month. You still hurting yourself over that since you didn't get that at first, didn't you?
I'm not hurting over it. At least I got it, you know? It's not like I'm here right now, after you said, and pretty much raped the mic, that I was like, oh, now I get it. I'm an idiot.
I meant when you first discovered that.
I'm pretty slow to this kind of stuff. which is fitting because we're talking about Turtles. Woo! Me nailing those seamless transitions.
Yep.
Immediately after we can't think of a good transition.
And now we'll cover the last and latest rendition of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
You know what? We talked about the live action one briefly. Let's just talk about Michael Bay a little bit.
Back off, Raph. Ma'am? Hello. I apologize. My colleague here forgot to say please.
I could see the logic where it's like, oh, he's a leader in sense. He's the leader of Jackass, blah, blah, blah. But as Leonardo, no.
I mean, based on the voice clips I see on behind the voice actors, he does like an older, gruffer version of the 2003 Leo. But the thing is, I'm not used to Johnny Knoxville playing serious people. I'm used to him being a fucking goofball, lighting his nutsack on fire and getting a gash in his forehead because someone dared him to take a golf ball through a baseball launcher to the head.
Yeah, exactly what Michael Bay went through theoretically while making these movies. He just sticks out like a sore thumb, and it's just like, why wasn't he Raphael?
Mask.
Why was he not Raphael?
Yeah, or at least Mikey.
He would have been an awesome one of those, but as a
Leo, I still think he does good.
Johnny Knoxville is the voice equivalent of... Johnny Knoxville as a leader is the equivalent of the blind leading the blind.
No, but he's got that stern, authoritative voice that he can do.
Yeah.
And do it well.
And then there was the sequel, which apparently, like, Johnny Knoxville, like, had an interview. People were asking, like, why didn't you come back to voice Leonardo? And his response was essentially, yeah, why the fuck didn't I come back to voice Leonardo?
A very Knoxvillian thing to say.
Oh, absolutely.
Sorry we're late, April. You want to walk me through what's going on here? Okay, this must be what they came to Brazil for. We don't need that kind of change.
And I don't know, man. I just don't know. Yeah, exactly. This dude's not a voice actor. He's very bland to listen to. Like, I've seen mocap artists or, like, people, like, wearing, like, the makeup. You've seen the Hellboy movies, right?
Yes.
Where Abe is voiced by David Hyde Pierce, but his body is done by Doug Jones. But then in the sequel, Doug Jones both voices and performs Abe, which led Doug Jones to be Abe in, like, all the other properties. So I've seen that kind of transition about the person who just acts but doesn't voice, like, moving on to being both the voice and the person who acts as the character. But this is not one of those times, it just sucks.
It's like that awkward transition between silent films and voiced films that happened in the 1920s and 30s.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Which Family Guy did a really good cover skit of that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say that we're never going to watch these again. Like, if you guys want us to, and then we could just bitch about them later on, that'd probably be good entertainment. If you want, but right now, we don't feel a reason to watch them.
And to finish off, we're covering the latest rendition of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Not on my watch. That's exactly the kind of junior-level mischief we can put an end to. They may have given us a slip before. Twice before? Thank you, Mikey, twice before, but now we got them cornered and there's nothing that can stop us. Well, I don't know. Let's think about it. Did the bad guys get their big supply paper? No. Did they build their army of soldiers? Oh, no, they didn't. Are they otherwise thwarted and we unscathed? Yes! Hero mission accomplished, my friends.
This was funny to me, but, like, Ben Schwartz is also voicing Dewey in the DuckTales reboot, so it's a comedian who's voicing two iconic characters who are both represented by the color blue. Which, if I recall,
he will also be voicing Sonic in the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie coming out.
We got three. God damn it.
3 what?
We got 3 blue characters for Ben Schwartz. Dabba dee dabba die.
Well, he's also a blue character in Doc McStuffins called Stuffy.
Well, you get the idea.
4. And he's also a blue snail from Turbo. 5 blue.
Don't ruin my analogy.
Also, 6. Wally Kazam, Skydasher Steve. Irrelevant, but 6 blue.
You know,
this man is for a man whose last name means black in German. It's blue. He's blue.
And speaking of blue, that's how you felt while watching this series, right?
I couldn't get past episode 2. The animation hurts. The voice acting and the characteristics hurt my head. Well,
yeah.
The characterization, especially Donatello. Donatello got the shit end of the... Donatello's supposed to be smart, but they make him seem like a fucking idiot with cool gadgets. He's a fucking moron.
I like Donatello in this. There were some lines from him that I thought was funny.
I don't like that his personality is he's the fucking moron. He even looks like a fucking moron.
He's not the moron, he's just the one-liner guy. Well, I don't know. Like, he's the sarcastic guy. I don't know. It's very confused, but I'm not ashamed to say that I watched more than an episode of this.
I couldn't get past half of episode 2.
Like, here's the thing about it, though, is that...
Also, worst April. I just did not like the way they depicted her in this.
Do you not like black people? Is that your problem, Will?
No. Please don't imply that. That might actually fuck us over on where we're posting that. And for your fucking information, I liked the live-action depictions, like We Wish You a Turtle Christmas and Turtle Tunes, which are done by black people.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. Choke on the thickest part of my fucking cock.
At least I have good taste.
No, you don't. Not even I would.
Oh, God. Okay, so...
Self-depreciating humor aside, I didn't like it. And I'm gonna have an obvious... And I'm gonna have, just, for the 4 turtles, this one's gonna be my least favorite. So this is my
hold on.
ranking for worst.
I'm not done. It's fine. But, like, I don't hate this. Like, at worst, I give it an A for effort. You know? Like...
I give it a B.
You can tell that it's, like, trying to, like, do interesting things, but it's so sporadic with its movement. I admit, I got a headache while watching this, too. But I probably should have. I don't... If there's other, like, Turtles renditions, I would probably prefer to go back to 2003, but I don't know. Like, Leonardo, like, we talked about this before, is that, like, he's kind of a tryhard. He, like, tries to get in on the conversation when he's not being the leader. And now Raph's the leader in the 2018 version, and I have to ask myself, like, well, what the fuck does Leonardo do? There's, like, Leonardo in this series is literally defined by being fast and having one-liners. So, essentially, yes, the blue Ninja Turtle has become Sonic the Hedgehog.
In this, he takes more of the blue Oni to the red Oni.
Yeah. And I'd say one-liner in the most literal terms. You didn't watch this, but there was an episode where Donatello gave them all gifts that were supposed to, like, fix their eccentricities. Like, like Raphael isn't good at planning, so he had a helmet that's like, hey, dipshit, you need to make a plan. Shit like that. And, like, Leonardo was given a shock collar where every time he told a joke, he got zapped.
Oh.
Don't get one of those for me, by the way.
Oh. Okay.
You fucking asshole. Okay.
Okay.
So, how are we doing this?
Alright, so, like I said, my worst is going to be Ben Schwartz. My oddball choice is going to be Jason Biggs. Who saw that coming? Best for me is really, really hard. Because as much as I like Michael Sinterniklaas, Seth Green, and Cam Clarke, I'm gonna have to say, in the end, it's Michael. It's Mikey.
Okay.
It's not that I had the most experience with him, because I've had equal experience between the 2003 and the 1990s, or 1980s cartoon. But overall, I just like his depiction in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Great depiction, great character development. They touched upon flaws they touched upon in the comics. And they had several times of that Raph versus Leo mentality of who's the real leader. Because Raph, in combat, Raph always takes the initiative. The big fight between Leo and Raph is, Raph does everything with passion and on a whim, and jumps into the face of danger, while Leo tries to be calculating and hesitant beforehand. So one's the clear-headed head leader, while he's trying to be the clear head and the clear head and the open eyes. His lack of compassion overall makes him hesitant and lowers his initiative in combat, while Raph goes into a blind rage fury. He normally leads just right, and normally sets up the other turtles for combination attacks, to which it becomes a point of follow the leader. What about you? Good, bad, weird.
Good is Michael Sinterniklaas. Bad is Dominic Catrambone. And weird is Dan Green.
Weird is Seth Green?
Dan Green. We have 2 Green voice actors. And the last name is Green for the Ninja Turtles. What the fuck? Oh.
Yeah.
On that, we're done. We're doing Mikey next. We'll see you guys then.
We're doing Raph next.
Fuck you. We're doing Michelangelo.
Later, everyone.
Bye.
Turtle power.
Fuck you.